Good afternoon or evening, depending on what side of the pond you're on, and welcome to an extra special episode of Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and I'm joined today by Tony Robinson for an interview of one of Accrington Stanley's most legendary active players, a member of the 2018 League Two Championship team, a man who is just synonymous with the center back position at Accrington these days. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hi, okay.
Yeah,
Nice
no
to be on.
no pressure with that build-up, Mark, now.
I was a little bit much that way. Yeah, but
Now you've been with Accrington for 4 seasons now. This is actually your second stint. You did have a short spell before that, but we'll kind of get into all of that later. Now, of course, the first thing that we want to ask you about and kind of get this out of the way early, because everybody is wondering. Right before we went on the break that we're on right now, you did have an injury, a leg injury that you had said was going to keep you out for the rest of the season. How are things going with the recovery from the injury?
yeah, it's good. Obviously, the time and all that with the league stuff and so to maybe help me out. But yeah, I've got a bike at home and I'm just on that pretty much every day. And I've got a young lad who's now.
Yeah, that's good that you're able to keep up with the training at home. And that was actually something I was going to ask you about is, of course, with the break that's going on right now, we don't really know how long things are going to go on for. Is there a chance that if things did go on long enough that you might be able to return this year after all?
Yeah, well, obviously, looking at the changes week by week, I don't know, everyone's saying it's the main thing at the minute, but I think if we start playing, maybe if the season was obviously back, maybe June, July, then maybe I could get going again. But obviously, everyone's safety is the main thing at this moment in time, isn't it? So let's hope the season can regain in the next couple of months.
Yeah, you really said it there, because right now everyone's safety is so much more important than football. And I've been trying to say this on every show, but it's something that it just needs to be said over and over again. If you're one of the people out there who's not staying home, all you're doing is making it so that other people have to stay home longer and longer until we get back for football. So just do what's best for yourself and your family, and hopefully we could all be back to football sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, agreed.
Now, Tony, you had some questions for Mark about his earlier career before he joined Stanley, right?
Yeah, I wanted to just touch base. I hope that you're okay talking about your past career out before Stanley, because if not, we're going to have to listen to Phil for 20 minutes to fill time with stats.
Okay.
Okay. Now, you started your career, obviously, at Everton and went through the youth ranks before getting a pro career in 2004. Of interest to me, and I hope to our listeners, when you played in the youth ranks, is there anybody that we would know that you played with or that you still keep in touch with?
Obviously, no. There was James Vaughan and Victor Anachivi. I don't know if you've heard of them. That they had a career at Everton and then they had a good career. But obviously, when I was younger, Wayne Mooney was a year younger than all through my youth times, and he was a man when he was about 8 or 9. He was a beast. He was playing under 14s, under 15s when he was 11 years of age. He was a rare one, and you know that he was always going to be special. So he's the one that you can sort of maybe relate to, and being a fellow Scouser. I don't know him obviously to phone, but maybe to say hello to. But he was the one that you knew that was always going to go on to big and better things, and he was the person who you sort of looked up to.
going to ask about Scott Brown. I know he was at Everton around that time. Did you and Scott know each other at Everton, or was that not?
Yeah. Me and he was obviously a couple of years older than me, Scott. But we knew each other at Everton. But obviously, the more we played at Accrington together, we got to know each other a little bit better, and we had this same sort of car school. I don't know what you call it when you just pick each other up and you just go to training together. So I've got to know him a lot better now, and he's a good friend now, and he's actually just got a house around the corner, so I see more of him now.
Yeah, Scott actually he said that you're just one of his best friends both on and off the field. And one thing he told me is that your nickname is Yosser. What's the story behind that?
Oh yeah, I think a program in England. There was I'm not too sure what the program is called, but there was obviously a character in there. His name was Yosser Hughes, and that was his name. So obviously, with my second name being Hughes, a lot of people whose second name is Hughes is called Yosser. So my dad, my brothers, and all that seem to get called it. So it's just like it's not really about me in particular. It's just the surname itself. I'm not too sure what the program is, to be honest, but maybe it could be Bread, maybe. If I was having a guess, I'd say that was it. But it was a program anyway in the 70s or 80s, maybe.
Tony, did you know what the program was that he's talking about?
No, because at that time I was in Canada and we didn't have a lot of access to the English program, so I'm going to have to say no, I don't.
We'll have to ask Darren. He might know that one.
Oh yeah. He's our history department, so we'll check with him.
Yeah, like the thing that's one thing that sort of slipped me, man. But it was only a TV program anyway.
One of the things that while you were at Everton and that I noticed when I was sort of looking up from information for our interview, that it actually has you down as making a senior appearance for the Everton team in the Premier League. So you got on as a substitute.
I did. We played West Ham. I was on the substitute bench and we were playing West Ham. Carlos Tevez and Mascherano were playing for West Ham at the time, and I remember being on the substitute bench, and I got on for maybe the last 6 or 7 minutes. So it was obviously a dream come true being Evertonian as well. So it was a proud moment, yeah.
Yeah, and who was your manager at the time at Everton?
It was David Moyes. David Moyes was the manager. He was the manager pretty much all the time I was there. So he was okay. Obviously, when you leave, you have a little thought to yourself that maybe you deserved a little bit of a better chance. And when I did leave, a lot of fans were surprised because I was on the verge of the first team and I was captain of the reserves. I was doing really well, and obviously being a local lad, sort of people wanted me to do well. But he told me that I would have been given a chance, and every time I did get a chance, I sort of done well. But he just sort of didn't really give me that chance to prove myself, and that's when I moved on to obviously the Football League and try and have a go at it myself and being a man, basically.
You went to Northampton after that, and you seemed to really fit in well there because you ended up making 92 starts for them over 3 seasons.
Yeah, well, I left there, Everton, and then went to Northampton when I was 20, and then I actually I actually played centre-half with Sean Dyche, the manager at Burnley at the moment.
Did you? Yeah.
He was my centre-half partner, and believe it or not, I was the captain there, so I was 20 years of age, and I was the captain of him, and he was about 36 at the time, but that's another interesting little fact. But yeah, he was my partner for 6 months, and as I say, I sort of become a little bit of a man. I moved away from home and lived on my own, and I was at 20 years of age, so I really enjoyed it there. I was placed in my heart.
And then after that, you had a couple of seasons at Northampton. You went over to Walsall for was it a season or did you have 2 seasons?
Yeah, that was a season. I was it was supposed to be 2 seasons, and after the first season, which is a really, really, really good family club. I got a phone call from a man saying he seemed to fancy going over to Australia to play, and I thought, it was, I said no at the start, and then obviously I kept thinking about it, and I thought, well, I had another year left at Walsall, but I kept thinking to myself, if I never done it, I'd always wonder what it would have been like. So I rang the manager, Chris Hutchins, and explained to him, and I had an offer from Australia, and would he let me go? I wanted to go over there, and I never stood in my way, and I went there for my second year, which probably it was an unbelievable experience, and one definitely I'll never forget. That was an unbelievable time in my life, and as I say, I went over there at 23 years of age and sort of lived away from my family, and I've become much more of a man. I loved every minute of it, every game over there. I was on the TV over there, and I loved it.
Yeah, you had quite a successful season at North Queensland Fury, I guess the name of the team. You got Player of the Season, and you're the People's Choice Award Player of the Season. So you were having playing some good football and having some success at the time. So that you really enjoyed that experience.
Yeah. Well, it sort of suited me over there the way they played. It was obviously a lot of football, a lot of playing out from the back, which I sort of enjoy. And I got a bit of a name for myself. Don't get me wrong, our team weren't the best, but I thought I'd done really well in the season, and at the end of the season I had a chance to stay for a couple of clubs, but obviously I had a girlfriend and family here at the time, and we decided that we to come back home, but maybe to think about it maybe in a later stage in my career, but it's something that I wouldn't change. And as I say, it's a play. I still watch it now on the TV over there, and maybe one day I could get back over there, or maybe live there one day. It's something that I would definitely think about.
When at the end of that season, the club, I think, basically ceased or folded out of the league with some financial issues. Was that an impact on the players, or did that not come into play when you were on the pitch?
You can play at the best, but making excuses, aren't they? And you sort of need everyone pulling in the right direction. It was a great little club, but obviously the sort of self-doubt in the last few months. It was, as I say, it was the only football club in that area. So there's a lot of pressure on it. There's a lot, so you sort of read a lot more than what you would do at a club, a lower league club in England. So you sort of know what's coming, and it did affected a few of the players, and obviously a lot of the younger lads. But it wasn't easy. Like I said, if you need a successful club, you need everyone pulling in the right direction. Obviously, financially, for whatever reason, the club went under, which was a shame, because it was a really good club, and they had some great people working there too. And I always keep having a look out now to see if they're going to come back. But at this moment in time, they're not in there.
Now, when you were over in Australia, you became a little bit of an offensive force. You averaged your highest goals per 90 minute of your career. But what I'm really interested in is the penalty kick that you took over there. How did that come to be? Well, tell us about that.
I think because I was playing with a lot of confidence over there, and every time I sort of got a free kick or a penalty kick. Now, and it's a bit different in England. A lot of plenty of strikers now who are on goal bonuses and whatever, so they're the first person to take balls or for penalty. So just leave them to it now and try and stop them from going in now. Speaking
of scoring goals, kind of changing back across to the English continent, if you will, Peter Latham, who's, of course, the fantastic chairman of the Accrington Stanley Official Supporters Club, he usually sends us in a question for these interviews, and we're going to call this new segment Peter's Corner. So this is going to be Peter's Corner for today. And what Peter wanted me to ask you is, what have been your most memorable goals that you've scored with Stanley?
Probably my first one was away at Wycombe. That was the year we just missed out on promotion, but at the time I thought it was the goal that was sort of going to send us up. We were away at Wycombe, and it was 0-0. It was a tight game, and the ball fell to me all a yard out, and I managed to scramble over the line. I thought that was going to be the goal that got us promoted a couple of years before we won the league. So that's one that sticks in mind. But I don't really get that many anymore. And in terms of importance, the one I enjoyed the most was probably we played Blackpool a couple of years ago, last minute, and it was in front of the fans, and it was 94th minute, and it was managed to grab an equaliser in front of our fans, which is a bit of a derby. So I enjoyed probably the Blackpool away, and the last minute was probably the one to make it a draw.
Blackpool away.
I just wanted to, if I could, we have a couple of questions from our one of the co-founders of the Across the Pitch, Aaron Ayres, who's from Australia. And so when he heard you had played there, he wanted to see if I could get a couple of questions in to you. One was...
He's our brother from down under.
Well, when we say he's from Aussie, we're not meaning Aussie as in Ossitwhistle next to Accrington. So just to clarify for North American people, the one question he wanted to ask was, what was your biggest shift or biggest change with moving to North Queensland?
Obviously, we were in North Queensland. The heat, it was so humid, and we were only allowed to train at 7 o'clock in the morning, or I was only allowed to train in the day because it was so hot. Obviously, playing and adapting to that was a massive change, and obviously being away from family and the time difference, and obviously people only on the opposite end of the world. But look, it's an unbelievable place, and if anyone who lived there now, I quite envy the opportunity. It's always a place, and I really enjoyed my time there. But the heat was the main thing. The heat was you're talking 95, 100 degrees pretty much every day in North Queensland. There's no winters, so every day it was so warm. But at the same time, it maybe started raining out the blue, but it'd be warm and it'd be raining. But it was the humidity was the biggest thing where I lived and where I played.
One of the other things he wanted to ask, and this is more of a fun one, is what was your worst Aussie food?
Aussie food?
Yeah.
You drank lots of beer anyway, so that was what I enjoyed. Not too much.
That can make up. So.
Tony, we have those...
anyway.
We have those serious questions that you like to ask, and I kind of feel like after the Aussie food question that it might be a good time to get to those super serious questions that you have. So, Tony, I'm going to cue up your sound effect.
Cue the music. Okay, these are rapid fire questions that we try and ask every player that comes on, and just a bit of fun. There's no wrong or right answer, but if you hear a groan, then you know you're not on the right track. But they're kind of with a Northern England twist, and I think we know the answer to the first one coming from Liverpool. The Beatles or Rolling Stones?
Oh, the Beatles, obviously.
Yeah, mushy or garden peas?
Oh, I'm probably mushy, but I'm not a fussy on either, to be honest.
Well, you went right mushy, so we'll go with that. Red or brown sauce on your bacon butty?
Oh, none. I don't like sauce. You're gonna say red or white wine. I was gonna say red wine. No.
Okay, red wine.
That could be a new question. Add that to your list for future episodes, Tony. That'll be our question.
I just like butter on it. Just butter.
I like what he thinks. Okay, with a full English, with or without black pudding?
Oh, with. I do like black pudding. With.
For a soap opera, Coronation Street or Emmerdale?
Oh, my wife watches EastEnders, so I have to call her to watch that. EastEnders.
We had EastEnders in, and I changed it to Emmerdale, and you're the first one that said EastEnders, so.
Because my wife watches it, I always end up after watching it, but that's the excuse anyway.
And this next question is from Sean McConville, who wants us to ask natural grass or AstroTurf?
Natural grass. Sean will say, we hate AstroTurf. We train every day on that. We train on every day on AstroTurf, and me and Sean, being older, are always moaning about it.
Yeah, I think that's why he put it in. Yes.
He got injured and I got injured at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's only one answer to that question.
Yeah.
We're ever going to hear.
Our assistant manager, Jimmy Bell, he loves it. He doesn't have a bad way to say it about it. So there's always a little bit of friendly banter about it every day.
Yeah.
But definitely normal to us.
And this is just a true or false question. Does Scott Brown have more team shirts in his wardrobe than you?
Oh, yeah, he will do. He always collects them. I'm not really a collector person. T-shirts, you say what?
Yeah, for the teams that you play for, does he have more than you?
In Scott, yeah. He would have kept them. I don't really keep mine, but I've got but not really keep them.
Right, and then we've got a section that we'll turn over to Phil because he's got a North American questions that he would throw out here. Go ahead, Phil.
Okay, and with the North American side of things, just to give you a little background, Tony and I run what's called the North American Accrington Stanley Supporters Club. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. He is in Toronto, Canada. So the first question we ask is out of Canada, is they have a dish up there that is chips, gravy, and cheese curds called poutine. Is that something you'd like to have, and do you think it would sell, be a big seller up in Lancashire?
With chips, what was it? Chips, gravy, and cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, chips. The saying in England, because I'm a Northern boy, they say Northern boys love gravy. That's what the saying is, but maybe not with cheese. I don't think no.
Well, it certainly slows the blood flow in your arteries when you put some cheese with your gravy.
Close them up, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, from Phoenix, Arizona is where I'm from. We like the hot and spicy food, so we like to put jalapeno peppers on our pepperoni pizza. And the question is, you would like that? You're the first one to say that you'd like the jalapeno peppers. So mark down that Mark likes the jalapeno peppers. We've got a winner. That one does have a right answer.
Yeah, I like my spicy food more than.
Yeah, well, you'll have to give these other guys a hard time. They said they can't handle it. So.
Yeah, some hairs on your chest.
Yeah, exactly. And then so we did the Beatles and the Rolling Stones earlier, and then I said that we had to have for the younger guys, we have to ask Oasis or Blur. What's your thought on that?
Oasis all day. Oasis are probably in the 90s. Like when I grew up, they were my favourite bands. They probably still are now. Just best band ever for me.
I have to agree with that one, especially compared to Blur. I'm right with you with the Beatles and Oasis, and that actually transitions to something that I wanted to ask you, because this was something that your playing style, it kind of brought an analogy to mind to me. And when people talk about the Beatles, when they first formed, they were a band for many years before they finally found success. And when they found success was when Ringo Starr kind of joined the group. He was the last guy in, and as a drummer, he, of course, was the guy in the background. But Ringo Starr, he was just that guy. He wasn't flashy, but he was just so technically perfect, didn't make any mistakes, that he was just kind of that rock of the band that, you just always knew Ringo was going to be there, and he was always going to be given a flawless effort. And I would say that when I look at your game, I think you're kind of like the Ringo of Accrington Stanley, where you're just that guy back there playing that not flashy but just flawless game and keeping everything together.
Let's keep it simple. Yeah, well, obviously, thanks a lot anyway, but Jamie Carragher and John Terry's, and if you have a look at, they were them sort of characters, weren't they, in them players at them teams, and they were the people I sort of looked up to in my game. So maybe things like that is one of the reasons why the sort of role models are to, and the people who sort of want to adapt my game to will play it a bit like that. So that's maybe why. But yeah, it means a lot anyway. Thanks very much.
You mentioned playing with Sean Dyche and you being a young player coming into the game. That's sort of what the situation, if you look now, is what you're involved with Ross Sykes. You're now in that position where you're playing alongside with a kid that's up and coming, and you are working with him. What's it like to play with somebody coming out of the academy that's got the talent that Ross has?
Yeah, well, I've always enjoyed that part of the game. I've always enjoyed it. Sort of getting the best out of the players around me. I'd say that's something that's always been in my makeup that I've always enjoyed. But Ross has come in at the start. He came in as an 18, 19. He played come on in times, a couple of subs, and then he's just grown and grown and grown. And what Ross has got on his side as well, and as a young man, he's a good listener and he wants to learn as well, which is some young lads have got that problem. And wait to get home. Ross is always, if he carries on the way he's going, Ross, he'll have a good career in the game. Really good. He's a good listener and a good learner, and he always wants to be educated, and he's got that in his favour. And nobody wants to have that willingness to learn and want to get better, and he's got it in abundance.
And you've got, you play alongside with him, and you've got Callum Johnson, the back there. That's quite, a group of players that you've got back there. That John Coleman, and I've said this to Phil on many occasions, that when Joel Coleman's filling out the match sheet, your name has to be one of the first names on the sheet, if not number one, and followed quickly by the other two defenders that you've got.
Yeah, well, obviously, when the manager brings players in, he doesn't just bring them in. He looks at the characters, maybe, and obviously with Accrington being, it's not full. The financial rewards it's not an unbelievable training ground, unbelievable facilities. So you've sort of got to be a good character. And Callum's come in, and obviously Ross, young lads, but as I said before, they're not young lads that sort of toss it off or answer back or not. And they can still. I'm still learning the game myself, but the learners, and like I said, the first in the training ground, and they're always working hard to get better, and they're always the last home, and they're always asking questions. They always want to know everything about the game, and it's refreshing to see. And as I say, I can see them both doing. I'm not saying they want to leave Accrington or they should leave Accrington, but I'm sure they'll have a really, really top career ahead of them, both of them.
You said two things that really we've actually had Callum on the show a couple times and Ross just last week, and you really nailed two things that I have said to Tony many times about both of those guys. Is one, like you're talking about Ross being the last guy in and the last guy out every day, and I just imagine both of those guys are like that. And then the other thing is like you said, for their age, and actually Ross is celebrating a birthday today, so happy 21st birthday.
No, what a bad day to have your birthday. If I've just been looking, I feel sorry. It's not the greatest day to have your 21st birthday, is it? But happy birthday if you're listening, Ross, anyway.
But and then Callum, I believe he's 23 or 24. And both of those guys, for their age, like you said, you would just never think that they were that young. You'd think you were talking to somebody who was maybe 28 years old. And you just imagine they were the kind of guy that maybe were like class president in high school. They just kind of have that.
But they played a lot of games now, Callum and Ross, and like the games that I didn't play when I was injured, they were probably the most experienced players on the pitch, believe it or not, in terms of how many games they've actually played at the end, especially in defence. They were playing with like a couple of lads on loan, obviously like Joe Burst, I think he's only 18, so they were, believe it or not, the experienced lads, and you could see Callum and Ross, they up to the plate, and they were obviously becoming a lot more vocal, which maybe probably the tiny thing they maybe have to get into the game a little bit more is the talking side of it. But as I say, that'll just come with experience in games, and the fantastic lads. But I don't expect anything else from John Coleman's players. Everyone who signed, they're all top lads.
Phil, this would be a good time to ask Mark a question about where he had his interview.
Yes. I think that has kind of been something that we have made a regular question now. It first came to us when we were talking to Joe Pritchard, and he mentioned that John Coleman is not the kind of guy that has the secretary call up a new player. He'll meet you in person, like you said, because he wants to get to know the guy, get to know the character before he signs. And now Joe Pritchard said that he was met by John at Starbucks, and then Sean McConville later found out about that and was upset because he only got a McDonald's coffee, I guess. So we're asking everybody, where did John Coleman meet you at so we could settle the score and get everybody whatever coffees they might be owed?
So mine was a bit stronger because both of us are from the same place in Liverpool, a place called Kirby. I grew up in Kirby. I actually live around the corner from John Coleman. So mine was in a pub called the Carter's Arms, which is around the corner. So I had to buy. He didn't buy me the drinks like I had to buy him. Still waiting for one back off him. But mine was over beers more than coffee.
That's a good meeting when the manager meets you in a pub and you pay.
but he's that's why he's different to any other manager. He doesn't treat you. He's treated you as your friend and your mate, and he's got that approachable sort of personality. And I think that's why he gets the best out of a lot of players. I think if you look at pretty much a lot of players at the club, they're all playing the best football of the career, and generally it's due to the manager because he's that way. He's your mate more so. If you sort of get me.
If I was a player and I wanted to sort of join Accrington Stanley to play, and I phoned up Mark Hughes and said, Mark, I might be able to play for Accrington Stanley. Why should I sign with them? What would your response be?
It's just a unique club. Obviously, the fans don't ever get on your back. It's a great family atmosphere. The chairman's unbelievable. He's another one. It's a lot of chairmans with the clubs. You've got to call them Mr. Chairmans, or you've got to, if ours is just Andy or Alty, go just call me Alty. He's your friend. He'll phone you to say it's just a really, really good club. And you know that the players that the manager brings in, they're not going to be sort of bad eggs, as you say. And anyone who are bad eggs, they get found out quick in a place. But it's never like that. It's a really, really, it's a proper family club. And after games, you have a little, I don't know if you ever told you about happy hour.
Yeah.
You win a match. Obviously, the chairman puts a pound of pints on for the fans, and as players, you go in and interact with the fans, which is very unique, and it's a great little touch. And obviously, there's no other clubs that ever do that. So there's that interaction with the fans as well, and it's just a really, really, really good family club.
I've been at the inside the pub there when they've had the happy hour, and it's quite an experience because you want to get in quick because it fills up really quickly when they win.
Yeah, read that, and then the manager always asks the players to go in as well and spend an hour or so with the fans just to have a little chat with them. And as I say, I don't think it goes on in any other football team in the Football League. And obviously, it's a club on the up, and hopefully it stays like that as well. The chairman's always in there looking after everyone. So it's a very unique place, but at the same time, it's a very, very happy place, and it's very different, but very, very good and rewarding.
Tony, I think this actually might be a good time for us to do another one of our regular kind of things that we do here and actually go backwards while we're talking about the pub, because whenever we talk to someone who is around for the League Two championship season, and we've been a little light on stats today. So the first stat that I want to give out here before we talk to the League Two championship season is one of the most impressive stats that any player can have on their stat sheet, and that is during the League Two championship season, you play played in 46 games. You started 46 games, 4,140 minutes. And now if you were to take 46 times 90, you get 4,140. So that means you played every minute of every game during that championship season. Did you know that?
Yeah. Obviously, it was. I think I've played about. I think it was every minute at about 146, 7 games on the trot. That's what, and then I got sent off against Crewe, and that was why I come to an end. But in that season, I played every single minute of every game. I don't know how many of them I was fit, but I managed to get on there and play. And I think it was unbelievable. When you start winning momentum, you don't get tired or you don't get injured. You just want to play every game. And that season was a little bit special. And I got in the team of the year as well at the end of the season, the PFA team of the year, which is always a great accolade as well because it's voted by the fellow players in the league, which is a nice touch too.
And that, I'm glad you brought that up, Phil, because it was along the lines of what I was going to the question I was going to ask, or maybe more of a comment, is that the time with Stanley this past 2-3 years, you're playing some of your best football of your entire career. Is that based on what you've learned over the years, or is that with John Coleman and his staff, or is it just all coming together for you?
Yeah, well, a little bit of it. Obviously, everyone, the manager, got to take a lot of credit. He lets me go out and sort of express myself and play my game. And as I've got older, I've sort of maybe looked after my body a little bit more. I know it's a young man's game now, and less. Well, I know we had a laugh about it, like the pubs and that, but less times in the pub and more times in the gyms or recovering, and I've got I had a little young family as well, which is sort of helped me, and you're sort of happy off the pitch. It's generally you're in a good frame of mind on the pitch. So there's a lot of things like that, but it's a little bit, and obviously the fans as well. Since being there, so it's a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Well, speaking of those times in the pub, because those are a little more fun to talk about, Peter did tell me that you would have some stories about that famous party after the League Two championship. So I'm gonna hold you to that because Peter told me you'd have some great stories on that.
Yeah, we actually played Oval obviously on a Tuesday night, and if we won, we got promoted. So we ended up obviously winning, and I was still in my kit, so Scotty, we went to the bar, and we obviously with the fans still in my kit and the bands and everything getting played, and obviously it being a night game as well. It went all the way right through till all hours in the morning, and I was with me with Scotty and my brother and a lot of friends and family, and we actually fell asleep in the changing room at the ground. I mean, and we woke back up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, our kits and that, so we had to go and had to get a taxi all the end through the drive-through with our kits on in McDonald's over breakfast in the morning. So when I got home as well, we went to obviously a pub which Jimmy, big manager, and Jimmy Coleman, and then we got a bit of a telling off the next day saying we haven't done nothing. That we had to travel to Wickham on the Saturday, and Jimmy was having a go saying because we haven't won the league, he was saying that we were enjoying it too much. We had to go and win the league, sort of. So
I think that's one of those things where the manager is kind of telling you what he has to say as a manager, but also kind of keeping you awake, like, oh, okay, we know how it's.
That was where his psychology was quite good, because he sort of had to got what I was knowing on the Saturday, because we still wanted to win the league, so we had Wickham away on the Saturday, and we ended up winning 4-0 away, and I think half of us were still drunk as well, so which made it a little bit special as well.
And lifting, and having the trophy lifted at Wem Stadium must be a highlight of your career. One of them.
Yeah. Obviously, in terms of football league and achievements, it's Accrington. We were the favourites to go down as well. We were the favourites to. I think that's more so as well, being such an underdog, to be the favourites for relegation to win the league. It was something special, to be fair. It was, as I say, it is a club going in the right direction. Maybe in a couple of years, in the next few years, it might happen again in this league, but it's definitely one that are living in the memory forever.
Just kind of going back here and a couple things that we didn't touch on, because I mean, you've had a career where you see a lot of guys where maybe they've played for a lot of different teams, but not necessarily played a lot of games for all of those teams. But just about every place you've gone to, you've really played a significant number of games. You played 43 and 40 games for Morecambe in 2013 through 2015, and they're kind of that one team that when people ask who's Stanley's rival, I think Morecambe kind of comes up more than anybody. So what was it like playing for the dark side, if you will?
Well, I'm not pointing to it. They're playing a lot of games. I've always been a little bit lucky. You need a bit of luck as well, and I've always been a little bit lucky with injuries, which helps. But when I was at Morecambe, Accrington was the derby. I don't think Accrington were a little bit Morecambe's bogey team. Obviously, the derby, he hadn't beat them for like maybe 6 or 7 years. So when we played them, I think I was on the end of a five. I think we got beat 5-0 one game from Morecambe against Accrington. It was just a team. Such a hard place to go, especially it was used to be called the. I think it's called the WAM obviously now, but. It was the Crown Guard. Yeah. It was always a very, very tough place to go, and not many teams, a lot of teams, which similar to now, that you're defeated before you even get there because of the small box changing rooms that are leaking, and it's just a very hard place to go, and mentally, a lot of players don't get their heads around it, and maybe at more one reason as well.
And now another place that you spent a couple seasons at and ended up starting a total of 46 games for was Barry. And of course, Barry is a team that had been Accrington's closest geographical opponent until this season when, of course, they ran into some financial trouble. And of course, we wish them the best in getting that club going again. But tell us a bit about your time at Barry and also as someone that played there, I'm sure it was difficult seeing what ended up happening there this year.
Yeah, look, it's tough. It's not nice to see any club playing. So I know club it's always probably a club where I probably didn't show the best. One of my best. A couple of injuries. Probably the only place really that I did get quite a few injuries and get going in terms of showing my best football. But it's a place that I would say I met a lot of friends, and I knew Stephen Schumacher from Everton, but I got to know him a lot more at Bury, and he's one of my closest friends now, and he's a family friend, and so it's a top club, and hopefully one day it can get back to where it belongs to be. And they just got promoted, so it's just a shame they never got a chance to play, and for the fans and for the staff that were there, I can only hope that they can get back on the ladder and get back in the league where they exist.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that we've come to find out is that when you have a small club like an Accrington Stanley or a Barry or any of these clubs that are from a small town and the only club in town, is that they're really more than just a sports team. They're actually part of the community itself.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think it's because of maybe the small fan base, and it's the players and the fans just seem to have a little bit more interaction in the in the lower leagues, because obviously there's less people that go, and Barry's the same. It's you sort of get to know fans a lot more, and you get to know the staff a lot more. It's not like a Premier League where the staff don't know the players because they're nowhere near them. Whereas you're seeing these people who work for the club day in, day out, and the hard work that goes in, and you see the fans and the hard-earned money they pay to travel around the country, and getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to travel down to Plymouth and things like that. So it goes a long way, and it's such a shame, and hopefully they sort it out, because it's a club that, to say, doesn't deserve to be where it is.
No, well said.
Century of history there too.
Yeah, FA Cup winner. A long history in and around Lancashire. So yeah, we certainly wish them well for sure.
Yeah. Obviously, they've had a couple of. I think Neville Southall, who's at Everton, goalkeeper. I think he started there. And Teddy McDermott, remember him in Liverpool? He started there. I think so. It's got a little bit of history as well.
Yeah. I think Neville's mother might have worked there for quite a while.
Yeah, that's Phil Neville's mum. Yeah, her name was Jill Neville, and she used to do so much work behind the scenes, and obviously people don't see the work she does. She's worked there for so many years, and someone's taken her club away from her, which, as I say, people don't realise the connection that some of the staff on there have with the club. So, as I say, as for it deserves to be in the Football League, and hopefully it's there sooner rather than later.
The one thing I noticed too, which when I was, as I say, looking information on this story, was to see that you were the first signings for two clubs, Bury and for Stevenage. So, and I mean that speaks a lot to your character and your player, your skill as a player. Then.
Yeah, well, obviously the Stevenage one. It was actually I was in the Asda car park, a supermarket, and I'd just been released by Morecambe, which was coming with a bit of a shock, because I played pretty much every game, and they wanted to go down a different route. But that's their reason. And then the phone went, and it was Teddy Sheringham, the obviously the ex-Manchester United player, and he said, "Hello, Mark, this is Teddy Sheringham," and I thought it was one of my mates.
Why did you
playing about on my phone for like one of them pranks? So I just put the phone down. I went, "Oh yeah, good one." So then he phoned me back. He went, "No, I'm the manager of Stevenage now. I'd like you to come down and be my first signing." So obviously, being Teddy Sheringham's first signing as well, it was his first management job. So it was a pity when we were at Stevenage. We had some really, really top players, and just for whatever reason, it just didn't click. We just didn't gel together, and the manager was looking for different ideas. He obviously, in his first job, he was trying to find a winning formula, and it just didn't happen. But it happens sometimes in football. And then obviously I was only there for 6 months because he was becoming under pressure, and he was chopping and changing with personnel, and I was not playing, and my family were living in Liverpool, and that was in London, and I was spending most of the time on the motorway. So I just thought this is no good for me. And then that's when obviously I spoke to John and Jimmy, and they said come to Accrington, and obviously, as I say, the rest is history, and I played easily my best football here as well. So it was a good thing.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's, as I say, your best football of the career is in the last few years, and long may it continue. And we wish you back on the pitch as soon as possible. So
yeah, I think obviously everyone getting football back's the main thing, isn't it? And then if I can get fit and get playing again, great. But let's just hope we get back to playing as soon as possible. Because it's funny, because everyone, the world the way it is, and then all people talk about football, isn't it? People don't realise how much everyone's lives are around football, isn't it? And it's 90-80% of people's lives. So all people ask me the question.
One other statistical kind of question for you. This was something that I didn't get you earlier when I was talking about how you had played every minute of every game in the last, the League Two championship season, and then last season you actually you played all but 16 minutes. It was in the South End game. You played 74 minutes, and I was going to ask you about. Come on, what happened with that 16 minutes? You're slopping off, you know.
I remember I got knees in the bum, and I couldn't. And it was the coldest day in the world, and I think we were getting beat as well for some reason. But I never got knees in it, and I just couldn't put my foot. I'm one of them people who just want to carry on, and then I just couldn't carry on. And actually, Ross come on for me, Ross Sykes, but he come on, and I think it was more. I started I think it was every game for three 3.5 years or something like that. So
it's incredible that you can remember the only time that you had to come off the field in 2 seasons. That just speaks to what an Iron Man and a warrior you are out there.
Well, the injury that I've got now, and it was supposed to be 15 centimetre hurt in the calf, but I ended up playing a whole match on that as well. But I was just limping around. But
wow,
the physio said, "How did you?" But I knew that something was wrong. But I'm one of them people who, my leg after 4 off to come off or to be injured. So I just couldn't. After the game, I just spoke to the physio and just said, "Something's not right here." And then they got a scan, and there was a 15 centimetre tear. And the physio was like, "How are you possibly play on that?" So that's just the way of character I am anyway. And I'm a
legend. No other word for it. You're a legend.
I said I'm a physio's nightmare because I'm always running the Campbells and he's trying to put the reins on me all the time. So I'm be careful.
I just want saying again, we hope for speedy full recovery and want to see him back as soon as possible.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks.
Absolutely, Mark. We can't wait to see you back on the pitch, and we have no doubt that you're going to come back there and be stronger than ever. Did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about that we hadn't asked you about? We always kind of at the end of the show, what did we miss that you thought we maybe wanted to have our listeners hear about, or that you just wanted to talk about in general?
No, obviously, we're in Canada and one in. Whereabouts are you living? Tony's in Canada and you're in. Whereabouts are you? No.
Oh, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. So when you were talking about how hot it is in Australia, we could definitely relate to that here. Now, we don't quite have the humidity, but I'm a season ticket holder for Phoenix Rising here. And in July, August, we play about 7:30 p.m. and it'll be 105, 110 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff sometimes. So we know all about that warm weather here.
And I was the coronavirus there. And same as us, are you in lockdown as well, or can you get to go to work, or are you in your homes, or?
Well, we're not on lockdown per se. We're some of the businesses and things are still open, but basically we're on a don't leave the house unless you absolutely have to get groceries or whatever.
Yeah, I mean the border to from Canada to U.S. is closed for tourists. We were supposed to drive to Florida tomorrow, and that's obviously been postponed because of the outbreak. But we'll just enjoy the warm weather up here. It's going to be in the 40s tomorrow, so we'll break out.
That's 40s Fahrenheit.
Oh, no, I think believe it or not, we've had a bit of luck in terms of weather, but I'm talking 15 degrees, which is warm for us. But we've had the sun out, and I've got a lad who's nearly 7, so he's obsessed with football. And I've been in the garden with him for about 6 hours every day, so it's actually been harder. Training's easier than what it is being at home, so he's keeping me on my toes.
I tell you, our grass is brown, but that's not from lack of water. That's just because it's been under snow for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, you have some crazy weather in Canada, isn't
it? Yeah. But anyway, we're looking forward to football coming back, as we all are.
Yeah.
Yeah, over here we had they played one game and then they had to put the season on hold. So hopefully we'll get any kind of a season here.
Yeah. Well, David Beckham, didn't he? He got a club game and he had the chance for his first home game, didn't he?
Yeah, they're in Miami, which is in Florida, and they played their first 2 matches and then put the season on hold. They're in the MLS, and then Phoenix here is in the second tier, which is the USL, and we played 1 game here, and then they put the season on hold. So it's been a mess for everybody, and it's the thing is right now when like you said, we're all stuck at home. It is when we need sports more than anything. Yeah. But I guess we could all read a book. I just got David Lloyd's Around the World in 80 Pints, and I started that one. It seems like that's going to be a good read. So
is that the Accrington one? He's a top seller as well. Isn't it? Fumble, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We met even like he comes to a couple of our games and he just sits with the fans, Norm as well. He's a legend, isn't he? And I like listening to him on the telly as well.
Yeah, he's a character. There's no doubt about that.
One of the funniest guys, and he actually came on the show here about 3 weeks ago, and then we actually, I don't know, this might be a good time where we can announce that we have a very special episode coming up where David Lloyd, in addition to cricket, he actually played football for Accrington Stanley back in the Peel Park days before the original team went under. So we're having a dream match where David is going to come on and pick his starting 11 from the 1950s, and then Darren Woodhead, the author of 50 Years of Accrington Stanley, is going to pick his starting 11 from the past 50 years, and then they're going to debate who would win the modern era team versus the old Peel Park days team from the 1950s. So that's just going to be some incredible history that we have coming up.
Well, Jimmy Bell has probably said that I'd be in the 1950s team because he thinks I'm about 50. He calls me by my dad's name. He thinks I'm 30, 33, 34, but he says I'm 64. So I might be in the 50s team.
Well, Jimmy Bell, he's going to be coming on with us here shortly, too. I don't know exactly when that's scheduled for, but we're definitely looking forward to talking with Jimmy. And so now, I know that there's a bit of a rivalry that goes on with all you the Liverpool guys between blue and red, and obviously I know that you're a blue side guy, so Mark down as Everton on our list of who are Liverpool.
Yeah. We haven't got much to shout about this year, so the only positive is if the season gets void and then Liverpool don't win the trophy, so that'd be quite funny to rub in. Jimmy and the managers knows us good. That's all they talk about every Monday morning, Liverpool. It's just a little. I keep winding. We're in a lot of group chats and that, so you can easily wind your friends up. But it's a bit different here because like I'm an Everton fan, but my mum and dad support Liverpool, which is okay. Many places do you like? I don't know what it's like where you live, but it's in Liverpool you get a lot of families that are Everton Liverpool. It's not just like in London. You know, one family's Arsenal, one family's Tottenham. You know, like it's not like that in Liverpool. It's a bit different, isn't it?
I got a question that you could throw at Jimmy Bell if you could bet a pint with him and hopefully you'd win. Ask him the question: which football team stadium is closest to the River Mersey?
Who would you say? Tranmere, is it?
No, believe it or not, I don't think he'd get it. So this is why I think you'll get. You can give him 2 chances. It's actually Stockport County.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
So
he likes all questions like that, so I get it.
Well, yeah, give him that one, and I'll bet you win a pint.
Yeah, I would never guess that in 100 years.
Yeah, because he's selling it, daddy. He'll go, no, it's not. No, it's. And then he'll find a way to find and so on. But I would never have thought that. I don't think anyone would get that right.
Well, it's a good trivia one, so you can use that one, Mark.
I will do. Like the manager does a quiz every Thursday in his local, and he always comes in with the questions, and that every Friday. So we always have a little go. But he always says he wins every week, but there's only 2 people in the quiz.
Thank you so much for coming on, and we really just can't tell you how much we appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you healthy and back on the field, and more importantly, everybody healthy, and stay at home, keep yourself safe, and we'll all be back at the stadium cheering you guys on again soon.
Yeah, all the best, Mark.
maybe we might appreciate sport a little bit more now as well, mightn't we?
It really will. That's without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Oh, we'll take it easy anyway. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Stanley on.
I'm Stanley on.